electronic medical records. So first of all, we'd like to talk about the benefits of these electronic medical records. So one is to capture and track patients' record over time, and also to instantly retrieve previous medical records when needed. Of course, in future or instantly, whenever you need any data, you just key in and you get all the medical records concerning our patients. And then also to ease future research, especially for students. I think none of us are in the process of doing research, and many a times when you go back to the records, the files, it's very, very hard, cumbersome to retrieve some of this information. And also to identify patients for preventive visits and screening. We know that we always give patients time or date to come, but we can also try to follow them up to see whether they, at which particular time they should come for further evaluation or further screening. And then to provide dramatically, it is proven, this electronic medical records or medical system, it has been proven worldwide to dramatically improve efficiency. We know that we are going to save a lot of time. Instead of you typing a diagnosis, you're going just to look at the diagnoses which are there, and also the test, and you pick among the ones in the system. And then also to reduce the amount of storage necessary for paper-based records. We know that every time we accumulate a lot of data, a lot of paper records, and really this will really reduce the amount of space needed to save. And then to improve healthcare quality. Of course, this has been proven worldwide. And then, so we are going through some of the system components. We have the desktop computer. It's located in the in the consultation room, gyne consultation room, with a burglar proofing, and the doctors and nurses are going to access. And then we have a printer which will be in the nursing room. Of course, it is also a padlock and chain. Then you have a server which is in the data room, strongly protected with locked room and also burglar proof. And we have the Ethernet, the switch, and then also the router. And then, so first for us to access the system, we need to have a login. So we are going to have a username, and also which will be unique to individuals, and also it will be assigned by the data manager, and then we are going to have a password which will be reset every 3 months for security purposes. Then components of the EMR, we have the login page, the dashboard, patient registration, which will have biodata, the vitals, clinical assessment, diagnosis, among other things. Then also we are going to have an outpatient form, admission form, treatment plan, then transfers in and out, discharge plan and the visits. So also going to view the admitted patients. Then you can also retrieve or print the 24-hour operation report. So when this system starts, you don't have to write it in manual, just print it and come with it in the morning meeting. Then retrieve, print weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly gyne operation reports. So this will be the login page, whereby you're going to enter your username and the password, and of course there's a provision for staff enrollment when the system starts. And then this will be the dashboard. So this, after login, this is what you're going to see, whereby you're going to see how many patients are on ward, new admissions, and how many patients are discharged. And then this is where you're going to enter the biodata. If a patient is a revisit, you can see there's a point, yes. So if it's a revisit, the patient tells you, I've come here before, this is the second time or third time, you click at the yes, and then you enter either the patient number or the name, and then it will take you directly to the previous records. So it has these components, and something to note at the date of birth. If the patient remembers the date of birth, you key in and you put the date of birth, and it automatically will give you the calculated age. But in case that the patient doesn't remember, we still have to use the age. We key in the age. So vitals, patient vitals, they'll be recorded. If the patient is pregnant, there are also other details we are going to capture. Then, if pregnant, we are going to key in some of these details. Then, so after the biodata, we have entered the vitals, then we go to the assessment. Now, there's a place there you can see add clinical assessment. So when you click there, it will take you to this page where you're going to key in the important thing, the complaints, the period of the chief complaints. If someone has been having, for example, low abdominal pain for 2 days or 3 weeks or 2 months, you're going to key in there. Then you write your patient's history, examination, and then if it's an outpatient, you see where there is a plan. So you can click in there to say whether this patient is an inpatient or outpatient. So if you click in outpatient, you're going to get outpatient medical form, whereby you're going to key in the information and the drugs you're going to give the patient. And also, if you want to follow up the patient, you click key in where you want to follow up this patient. And then patient registration. After this, after you have keyed in the biodata, vitals, assessment, then you go and confirm whether you want to confirm your finish. And then this is where now we also confirm the admission. You put on the admission date, the ward. For now, this will be the gynecology ward, and then the bed number and the provisional diagnosis, and if the patient is referred in or referred in. So for revisits, you click in the yes that the patient is at the visit, then you key either the patient's name or the IP number, then it will take you to the page to continue with your assessment. And then this is now if you want to view the admitted patients. So you can click in admitted patients, and then you see all the patients who are admitted on the ward, and they are going to also, you're going to see whether the patient is stable or unstable, if the patient is in ICU, and then there's a place for print face sheet whereby you're going to print some of this information. Like after finishing, we're going to print the face sheet and put in the file, because now we'll be using both electronic and a bit of manual recording. So we'll print this face sheet where it has all what you have done to the patient, your clinical findings and investigations you have done, and your provisional diagnosis. We're going to print and put in the file. And then if you have patients in ICU, we're also going to see which patients are in ICU. So this is a rounding list. So a rounding list is like a summary of the patients who are in our department, gynecology admission. You are going to see all the patients with their ages, when were they admitted, length of stay, provisional diagnosis, status, whether they are stable, unstable, and then gravidity, parity, whether they are pregnant, and whether they are referral and the admitting doctor. So when you want to discharge the patient, then you key in there where you discharge your patients, and you're going to see the patients who are, you're going to, there's a place for discharge form where you're going to fill in the discharge form, and you can go ahead. Yes, so this is the discharge form. You're going to fill like the patient details, the investigation which are done, the clinical the clinical findings, and then continuation of the form, the investigations, any imaging done, any surgical procedure, next your final diagnosis. So this is the discharge form. that each patient is going to go with it. You are going to print two so that one stays in the file, and then the other one, the patient goes with it. So next time when she'll come in the file. I think Anthony can continue.
Yeah, thank you. This is like the flow chart of how the system will flow. When a patient, the mother comes or patient, we take admission. So that is a new patient has arrived. Then we check the admitting, checked by the admitting provider, a health worker or a doctor. Then admitting provider fills in initial registration in the system. So at that we get the initial details. Then if admitted, then we print the first sheet and then place in the chart. Then later, the intern stroke resident prints surrounding sheet and 24-hour report prior to morning meeting. This is the one we looked at. So there'll be at the time there'll be no need of writing these ones. It's just a matter of printing once we have put in data. So one, it will save us time, and two, to give us accurate data. Then after that, after rounds, designated intern or resident updates status of the patient, tests done, treatments performed. This is whereby a patient is on the ward, but maybe at 1 p.m. the patient was unstable, but at 2 p.m. the patient was stable. So we track the status of the patient at when that patient is discharged. Then at the discharge, the discharge form is completed by discharging provider. Then discharge form printed in 2 copies, one placed in a chart and the other given to the patient. So we give one to the patient, so when she comes back, we are able to trace the IP address, the number, the registration number, or if she does not remember to come with that form, then we can either search by the name, by the 2 names, and still we can get her and proceed. If she has been here maybe for 2 years back, she has now come, we don't need to register her again. She will be in the system, then we only have to update and keep on adding on her details. So implementing the system, we hope that the training will start 1st to 14th July 2019, this very year. Then we thought that we would be having these trainings on Wednesday to Friday. So the piloting of the system will be from 15th to 28th July, till soon 2019. So we shall start implementing now the system from 1st August 2019. So there we shall have the results now. So we shall have a time motion observation from 15th July 2019. We shall be now comparing using this electronic system and the manual way of handling issues, which one saves more time. If we discover that now using the system saves a lot of time and gives us results in a shortest possible way, then we shall compile and say, and then later we shall say, okay, maybe we need to continue with this or we need to abandon it. So it will depend on the results after the motion. So observations and timing of clinicians with paper records, that is one. Then observations and timing of clinicians with electronic medical records. So official launching of the system by administration on September 2019. We believe that after we have entered some data in the system, then we shall see it running, then there we can maybe propose or have it launched officially in this department. This is privacy and security features of the system. We have physical security measures that includes the burglar proofing. We have put burglar proofs on data room and almost everywhere, including the computer we shall put in the in GAIN. Then we lock these rooms even the server room where it is very locked. Then we shall access this system by logging in. We shall provide a username and password, and then the encryption. This is more technical. It is the one we use to secure our data as it is stored in the database, so that no one can just retrieve it and use it anyhow. So this is in the background. So access of data would be interns, residents, nurses. They will have access to weekly or monthly reports. So also depending on our decision, which data is supposed to be accessed, we shall handle it at that level. Then data for research use shall be determined by the OBSGAIN, the department committee. We shall sit and say, the data we have has now accumulated. Maybe we need to use it for research for any other purpose. The committee shall sit and decide who accesses the data. So requires submission of a page concept for review. So we shall be having printing. So, but this printing will be restricted to the system EMR use only. We have we thought that having a printer there, we can restrict that printing or the usage of that printer for the system only. Otherwise, we shall have maybe people lining up with many things to print, and within a few within a little time, the printer is done or the toner is done or it is put. So printer have a code to restrict photocopying and printing. This is for the safety of the toner and the paper and the printer itself. So it can always be changed in 3 months. Whoever will have access to that code. We have put a cost so far of this system. What we have spent, we have bought a server at 7.9 million. Then we have bought a printer at 1.5. Then we have the screen, the Dell screen at 450. Though we have extension bars, those are at 50,000. Then we have 2 switches, they are 240,000. There are a list of them, but the total cost so far, apparently the total is 12,342,000 shillings. So this is the one we are investing in to make sure that there is a change in this department as far as records concerned. Dealing with challenges, we predict challenges in the future, especially for power. You are working, all of a sudden power goes off, but we believe that once the system starts and we see producing results, we need to put a solar backup automatically. It should be able to get the machines on the moment it not says that the power, our umeme power has gone. So I think this is the most safest way. So far, we think that it can maybe save us. So there will be no need of, there will be no saying that power has gone, we cannot use the system. So with this backup, the solar backup, we think that maybe it will help us. So it will save even the laptops. If once the power has is out, the laptops can have some battery, especially those ones that are being used independently, because we have so far connected the local wireless. So we think that this system, once it starts, people can even access it on the normal computers using the wireless network, not having to be in that very room, just in case you want to check for something. But of course, it is only restricted in this room, in this vicinity. So the backup on the web server, that is something we are still thinking about. But of course, we were thinking about it before we thought of the solar. But once we have the solar stable, then there's no need of having it. So the manual entry in the beginning, before we embark on the complete route of the system, the electronic medical, the electronic system, we shall be concurrently, I think, using the manual and the system, the electronic system. That's it. Thank you very much. Yes.
You mentioned something to be able to have wireless
Yes.
around. Is this connected to the internet, or it is just ours alone here?
It is not connected to internet. It is ours. You can only access it when given authentication to access it, and it is highly protected. So it's not to do with the internet. The internet is there. The line for the internet is there. You can access it and have internet. Then the line for the system will also be available. Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I've seen interns and residents. What about midwives? Should be trained?
Go back to the beginning.
Yes, I think we captured nurses somewhere. So nurses are there. I think the group which we didn't capture, but I think it's just a typing error. It's our consultants, because they should also they also access the system. They can come and admit the patients. Because initially it was doctors and nurses, and then when we broke it down to different cadres, I think we left out our consultants.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Dr. Sudi and the team. Well, I have a few questions. The first one is, if you're minding about time, I hate typing, I should say. I also hate typing in the keyboard. So you have to create some bit of alternatives, especially when someone is doing examination. It has to be quick. Alternatives should be there for someone to pick through, not typing the entire things like how we write, because it's easier to write. Then secondly, so that will help in saving time. Also diagnosis should be a list of them, and someone just choose, and then you leave the alternative if other or any other they should specify. So that saves time. Then the other issue is on the follow-up. I think follow-up should be right in the time when you're seeing the patient. There's a way how you can probably leave a tab, because it's a system. You can put a system on the tab, and someone is updating the system right in time when you're seeing the patient. Other than waiting when the whole round is done, and then you have a whole, for example, if you have over 20 patients that you've seen on the whole round, you have to go to update the follow-up in the system. That's a huge task for someone to do, especially if you're tired, you have investigations to do, you have discharges and all that. So that's a huge task. If you can follow up, like update the follow-up right in time, that would be the best. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the first question was about time. Yes, I think you're not alone. Many of us don't like typing, but I think we should also move with the change, move with the world, the future or the current advancement in technology. Because we are going to, in the beginning, we might use more time, but in future we're going to improve, and that's why we have the time motion, so that when the system starts, even from the piloting stage, we're going to have because time motion is like a program, so that when we are admitting the patient, someone will be timing you, so that from the time of admission, receiving the patient, examination until you finish, what time you take, and then you compare it with the usual normal manual data entry. So we know even this program initially, because someone will be watching, so initially it might interfere. Someone might try to be fast because someone is watching, but studies have proved that even this system, usually when you start it, and after some time, someone will just act normally, and it will improve the time. So about typing, also the system provides a lot of things to choose on, like the diagnosis, the investigations. So yes, you will have some things to type, but also the system provides some option for you just to pick. So instead of writing a long diagnosis, you just pick from the system. And then another thing, it's about follow-up. So in the beginning of this system, we first, I think, will only capture during admission. So the follow-up will be either the patient is discharged, or transferred in, or transferred out, and some other aspects. But daily updating of the records will come in later. Because when you start the system and then every day after the rounds, you go back to the system, we thought it's going to become cumbersome for now. So that will come later. And when maybe we have let's say, we have either laptops or just you can use our phones or iPads, tablets, so that you can move in the round, and instead of you writing, you just key in and exactly goes to the system. So it's being taken in phases so that it's not a burden, and also so that it can also be successful. Yeah, I think I've answered.
And maybe just in addition to that, like we said in the beginning, that we are translating this system into a mobile application. So we, like for rounds now, we are doing a round. We shall even have an option of putting it on your phone, mobile phone, with restricted data access, but you can access the visible data on the patient. Then you do monitoring instead of moving with the file. Then if you want to print something, then you can go and print depending on whatever you want to print. So it will really fasten up our thing.
Maybe just one quick question. The way you design the system, is it such that, for instance, when you're taking history and you're typing, I've encountered challenges where I've maybe gone to seek services at a facility and they ask, what's your religion? And they give you options, Muslim, Seventh-day, and probably none of those. And you say, I'm none of those, and they're like, please choose anything because we cannot proceed if we don't key in something. So does it have options for others? Because, and it's the same problem in OPD, you find that we are losing a lot of data in OPD because the health workers in OPD have to forge some parameters, because as they are taking history, they realize that this baby has a fever, we have to do an RDT. Now the patient has to go to the lab, and by the time the patient comes back, in the real circumstance, when you send one patient to the lab to confirm a diagnosis, you continue with others, isn't it, as you wait for them to come. But now this one, you can't proceed until you key in the lab what? The lab results. So the health worker is forced to forge some parameters, and unfortunately they can't edit. So there is a lot of wrong data going into that OPD system. Well, they are saying it's a pilot, but I think the hospital is missing out on a lot of information in this period.
I don't understand. She can't.
They
can't stop and start another client.
No.
Until you finish this one.
Until we finish that one. So I hope that system is not like that, because I think it will be abandoned very fast by the department.
Let me answer that. So for every field on the form, we have given it.
Hold on. Have you understood what he's saying?
Yes.
You cannot go to another patient unless you finish this one.
There are two questions now I got from her. Yeah. So the first question, for every field on the form, we have given it an option for others that we think it requires others. For instance, like the one of religion. We know that there are many religions that we don't know about. But for us, we list those that we know, but then for those we don't know, we provide an option for others. So when you click on others, it brings a text field and you feed in that very one. So, and for every form, we save at every stage. Now, if if the patient has come from, you take her from stage to stage, then you have reached the point of discharge, but you realize maybe she misses something and you want to send her to get it, or a test, then you save and stop at that, and you can actually start another patient as you wait for the other results. When she comes back, then you just check the number, registration number, and then she comes, the details come, and then you can proceed until you finishes the cycle and then she will go.
That's good.
Thank you.
How many patients can be handled or be active at a particular time?
At a particular time,
Because we can have
Two doctors.
Five.
Two doctors. Five. Clocking at the same time.
yeah,
a
we
odd round, another is one are discharging, another is updating status.
we gave
How
it
many-
a capture time of 1,000 at a time. At 1,000 computers can be connected at the same time
Active at the same
and
time.
active at the same time.
Oh, you want-
Maybe in future, if they will increase, then we can add.
You give 20. Okay.
Yes. There's another question.
What is the unique identifier?
It's there are two, for the one using or for the patient.
Not for the patient.
It's the IP number, the registration number. The one for the Ministry of Health, we followed the format for the Ministry of Health.
I want to give you personal experience.
Okay.
We are dealing with women.
Yes.
Today they are single, tomorrow they are married, next of kin is different. When they have quarreled with the husband today, they don't even want to hear the name. So last time she told you, he says so and so generous. Today I am also change of his partner address. How are you going to make sure that you link this record to the same patient?
Now, what we did, let's say she has gone and she's coming back as a revisit.
I think I wouldn't actually want to discuss this, but please, every Ugandan has a national ID. Make it mandatory, and we capture the national ID for this patient. Otherwise, everything is going to be distorted. We will never get back the same patient.
That's if they can remember, come with a national.
Is it going to a fingerprint?
With fingerprint.
Because as time goes by,
Yes.
they will not go to this word, you need your national ID. Please make a provision for the national ID as a unique identifier.
Yes.
Because it is the only thing that is going to identify the person.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Because
It's
when
not
you talk
interrupt,
of
not that.
the national ID, it will have an effect when it comes to the infants, because like the children below 18, because we assume like for those people by that time they will be having no IDs.
That's a different case. I'll give you an experience. For us, we've introduced a system where we are, we have challenges with these HIV positive patients. Comes today as someone else in this clinic, goes as someone else in another clinic, and we are registering high prevalence of HIV for no reason. So we've introduced the fingerprint. So a patient will come and we are enrolling them. We are using the electronic medical records, I think now for all the health center 3s in the district, which are offering art services, and we are enrolling them using their fingerprint. So a patient will come today, you enroll, tomorrow they will come as a new patient. What you do, you first check the fingerprint. This patient is already registered. Then you ask them, but you're already in my system. Why are you identifying yourself as Kemba Bazilini or Fiona? And then they will give you the reason. Some do that for several reasons. You may find in one art clinic there is a certain partner who is giving food. Then in another clinic, there is that. Yeah, so these people are also businessmen. So to avoid such repetitions, and you end up the country is reporting a very high number of HIV patients who are actually not there. Some come, they keep testing for HIV all the time, and yet they already know their status. So I think
fingerprint makes life easy. Can have a fingerprint capture.
Well, yeah, we shall have that one, but I think also the
when
issue.
the patient is entered in the system, you have a time for capturing the fingerprint, that biometric, and on subsequent visit, you can activate the patient's record by just printing and interfacing, or comes up without you asking for printing and typing anything. I think that is the way to go.
Okay, thank
And
you.
some of the patients here keep coming. You had a fistula repair, it did not go well. You are admitted here, you are not able to do surgery. They discharge you, come back on Monday. So that fingerprint and your information pops out. To me, it makes it hard for me.
Yeah,
The national ID would be also information to capture.
In future, that your national ID is actually your unique identifier. So that's where the ministry is moving.
I think we can have both options, but I think in the beginning you can provide for a national ID, then enter it, because I believe that actually even for the newborn babies, government has actually has put it as a rule that they must get that TIN number, the identification number.
There is an e-birth registration system here which is inactive.
Yes.
As soon as you're born and they give you your number, you're supposed to die with that number.
Exactly.
But not everybody is being registered.
So that is it. And it will, in fact, if you have a child, I think it is better that you go and register, because even in schools, like in 5 years to come, but even that is very far, they will not accept your child without that number. So it is very important, because every child from 0 days, they will have that number. It is okay, but also can have that very option, people who come and change their names.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, actually, I was in a training 2 weeks ago, something to do with this type of records. And there was an experience from Rwanda. In Rwanda, everybody is registered. To access your services, you have that number. Even the newborns are all registered. All of them. Okay, so we are moving that way. But it is improving even here. They use their parents' TIN numbers to generate something for the child. When the time for registration comes, when he's of age, they use that one. I don't know whether they're going to continue with the same number they give at birth, or they're going to change. That one, not yet.
Is that very well?
Thank you very much. I think we are getting good ideas. We are going to incorporate them in the system. Like the identification number, we can put a provision for those who will come with the identification number, so that if someone has an ID, we can key in and it will take us for the system. Then, like an example, like in Kenya right now, we are having a Huduma, it's called Huduma number. So this Huduma number tries to, like every Kenyan, regardless of age, is going to be registered and given one Huduma number, a unique number. So that if I have identification number, NSSF, NHIF, or NHIF is the hospital, insurance number, all these numbers will be going, they are going to be put in a system, but you're going to have one number. So the moment you declare, you key in your number, all the other details, so you don't have to work with the ID, all the other important documents, your birth certificate, all the other important documents will be captured in that system. So only have one number which they can retrieve all the data, even the school you went, or everything. So they are going to, it's a process which is ongoing, of course for security purposes, but also for their other benefits. Yeah. Dr. Besiga, you had that.
Thanks for the presentation. We can't run away from technology. It's where we are headed, and the area we start, the better. But I feel as if I missed part of the introduction. Where did this come from? If you tell us 12 million, where is the 12 million coming from? Is it already invested? Are we outsourcing? If an equipment breaks down, who will replace it? Are we improving our records management system in the process? Then are we foreseeing the system replacing use of files? Because if so, how about aspects of patient consent?
will they have where to sign if we are to use the iPads or phones? And I thought we can clarify a bit about those for transparency and ownership and feeling part of the innovation.
I think I will request the Dr. Waswa, the QI, to respond to that question, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for those questions. Where did this system come from? Now, I think, is it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, we had an idea of do some innovations in the department to try to improve work in the department. And one of the things that we thought about was to improve, record keeping. Somebody's going to talk about the importance of records, where we would keep records. And one of the ideas that came about was how do we improve record keeping? That was the genesis of having an improved way of storing records and being able to retrieve it. Just like what he presented. And we started slowly trying to, getting a bit of equipment and then saying, how can we get this information together? How can we retrieve it? And then with time we went on developing the system, saying, can we do better? Can we include this? Can we include that? And where has the money been coming from? We've been getting donations from our colleagues in the US for some of these activities, some individual persons in the US and some in Uganda here. And that's how the system has been developing and developing and developing. Its maintenance is basically through a grant that is renewed annually. There are people who have taken interest in seeing it develop. The initial idea was, let's shop the system from somewhere and put it here. But we thought that this may not give us what we want. So we thought, can we develop it, ourselves and say, this is what we want, this is what this information we want. For example, today, the monthly report, those figures that they do from maternity ward and then ward, they don't have to sit down and do the numbers. It's just touch a button and all that information comes out. And actually we are the best currently as far as those monthly returns, they call it monthly return, not reports, are concerned because of this system. Okay. The idea was, could we also get the departmental reports easily? Because we need the figures and the numbers. Okay. And then as we've been going on, it has been developing. Can we have some form of internet for the students and the staff to use? So that's how this has been going on. Then all this infrastructure and hardware has been a donation from our colleagues in the US. How do we link with the record system, the hospital health information system? The staff in that department are fully aware of how we are progressing. I actually think that maybe we are a bit ahead of the hospital system, because I think the hospital system was shopped, it was brought in. It was not developed to see what does the hospital need. Just like ours, we've been taking it step by step, and making corrections. But the record people are completely with us, and they know what's going on. They've given their input, what they need. For example, there's more information we're collecting than what they need. That's why I asked him about the safety of the information up here. If this thing is on the internet, then it can be got anywhere, but it is something purely local. And we are working together hand in hand with the
sustainability and consent. Or review, Dr. Vesega review the question. This time I write my name or sign medical legal aspects if we are to use this information to defend ourselves. Authenticity.
Of course,
just typed in.
Those are, I think, issues that we shall need to work out. But one of the things that we know is if we are reviewing a patient with the interns, we first quote your name and then put down what you say. The issues of consent, I think we shall definitely need hard copies to be produced and then for the patient to sign. sustainability, we think that with time, the hospital should be able to take over the system. Actually, we're working to see how we can interface our system with the hospital system. Our only problem is the hospital system may be on the internet. I'm not sure how it works currently, but I know the system working. I don't know if it's purely local, not on the internet.
Actually, when power goes, that's the thing. They have to go back to right and register. It has a lot of complications, but it's also a problem.
So that's where we are. Now, of course, it could be an emergency and the ICU. No, private wing. Private wing. Of course, there are other innovations that took place. There was the hand wash innovation, there was the placenta, there was the preeclampsia, and a few other things that were done. But this is one that seems to be moving on and on and on compared to the others. Currently, the preeclampsia is the one that the hand washing and the preeclampsia and the elective C-section are the ones which are mostly active currently. We shall need an update from the persons who are leading these activities. The preeclampsia and the C-section. The hand washing, Dr. Waswai you see him every day on the water, pushing people around. Especially today that we have an Ebola suspect from my department there. It's a mother who had an IUFD and got a postpartum memory. Samples have been taken, but we haven't yet got the results yet. So we think. Yeah?
They say those are same.
So, we think these are things that are moving on. Of course, the 5S is something that we've got to use, and this is one of the activities in quality improvement and 5S. Okay? We are now learning, we are going to talk about we're going to talk about the use of this data so that we understand why we collect this data.
My last question is to you. As you go out.
Yes.
The second last is, what is the scale up plan? Antenatal what? Labor suit, postnatal, annex, and MC.
Yes, our initial plan was to capture all the units in OBS and GYN, but we said let us start with GYN, then we can move to maternity slowly, and we shall have all of them in government. The other thing of the constitution, we have put, there's another feature in the system of the logs. So when we register you as a user, as a doctor, and you log into the system, we capture your name, your details, such that even if you edit something, the logs will be showing that you entered in at 8:30, you searched for patient called patients, you edited this record from this to this, so every detail will be in the system. In case of any problem, you can refer to it and still get search.
Last question, Dr. Wasma. As a teaching institution, we have history taking and examination protocols for students, especially the junior students, the third years, the nursing students. When you are teaching them how to plan and write logical links or notes, and we're going to compromise that with the electronic kind of system.
So far, currently, the system is for qualified persons. So far, the students are not going to get access to this. They will have to do their usual planning. Actually, what he's talking about is that when you have this drop, what he talked about was the drop-down menu, where you choose. The students will not have access to this. You have to do their usual planning. That's something that we've been thinking about, this dual activity.
So as a resident, can I come with my tablet to work
We are thinking that
without a pen?
somewhere, I think, no. Because there are records, we need to sign somewhere,
Discharge form.
a discharge form. There are some, those, what do you call them, registers. Those ones have not yet been completely, we have a register which can, we have something in the system that captures what is in the register. But the Ministry of Health still needs those registers. So we still need to write in those registers. These are some of the speeches that are going to come up. Okay? Because the Ministry will need some specific registers, some specific information, which has to be, so that when they come, they check on those. So this will have to continue. That's my sure.
So,
And of course, there are some records that definitely need hard copy.
yes, I'm putting in context. A patient comes, gets complete abortion, gets laparotomy, gets sepsis, stays on the ward 11 days, gets a laparotomy, and the patient dies and we're doing an audit. What document shall we be analyzing or reflecting on during an audit process?
Now, all that information, whether the system is developed a bit further, because currently it is admission and discharge. But there is an option where you can write, type in these details. So be able to access all those.
Okay.
So we have to foresee the challenge in times of double work.
Yes.
While we are trying to type something in at the same time we are using our files.
It will definitely be there. Let's see, 10 a.m. when we go to the next. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons, one of the